Dhan Guru Nanak, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Today we will be reading Transformation of Egoistic Consciousness, Afterthoughts, Part 3. The ghost of ego has firmly established its sway on our mind, and we are content to be the His Master's voice of this ghost. We just cannot think or act otherwise. This ghost of ego reigns and asserts its authority in all aspects of our lives, i.e., through our body, mind, heart, feelings, thoughts, understanding, ideas, intelligence, desires, aspirations, beliefs, convictions, faith, religions, happiness, sorrows, miseries, joy, life, and death. In fact, we are possessed by this ghost of ego and have ourselves become personified ego ghosts. We have been slaves of this ego ghost since innumerable past lives and are unable to shake off this slavery by our own efforts. Even if we so desire, we cannot just wish away or discard the ego ghost from our mind by intellectual exercises or philosophical theories. In fact, we have sentenced ourselves to indefinite confinement in solitary cells of our ego since eons, and have become so used and inured to the drudgery and miseries of this slave life that we have become indifferent and complacent about the thought of freedom from this egoistic slavery. We work in conjunction and in tune with the dictates of our egocentric self, and are ignorant of the existence of the real divine self within ourselves. Freedom from this egoistic slavery in which the whole universe is involved can only be achieved if we can perceive and realize the elusive nature of our ego by intuition, i.e., reflection of the divine light within, with the help and guidance of blessed and illuminated souls. It is beyond the understanding or grasp of physical, academic, scientific knowledge and mental or occult perceptions. It is simply an awareness of innate heritage of divine joy, bliss, and love within our souls to be experienced and enjoyed in our consciousness on the spiritual plane of intuition. These divine attributes of joy, bliss, and love are lying dormant in our souls just to be tapped with faith and meditation and enjoyed in profound measures. In our ego consciousness, we obstruct the inflow of divine light and grace into our mind, and thereby deprive ourselves of the divine knowledge and grace. Therefore, we are left to mend for ourselves and thereby suffer the consequences of our depraved, egoistic, selfish thoughts and deeds according to the law of karma. It must be remembered that the sense of ego is transient and ever-changing in its manifestation and ramifications. Only the soul, or the real self, abides and is ever immanent. The process of transformation of ego consciousness to divine consciousness hangs on the subtle conviction and faith in divinity. It is not an intellectual exercise alone. Faith in divinity is the extremely delicate and sensitive crucial screen hanging between egocentric self and the real divine self of our souls. In fact, faithlessness in divinity is the source and sustenance of our ego, while faith in and devotion to the Lord is the seed of divine insight or intuition. Developed intelligence can, at best, give us mental perception about the nature of and the difference between the false self and the real self, but our intellectual knowledge cannot initiate us into the divine realm. In other words, our intelligence can, at the most, take us to the outer courtyard of divinity, but is unable to usher us into the divine realm. Beyond that, the divine courier of intuition takes charge of ourself and conducts it to the gracious presence of the Lord. What is required is the reorientation of our egoistic consciousness, or grafting the faithless egoistic self with the nucleus of divinity, i.e., intuition. This is a subtle process of transformation of ourself on the sublime plane of intuition. This inner experience of divine intelligence and effulgence can only be perceived or realized by insight of the soul, called intuition. And the seed of faith in divinity, spiritual insight, intuition, can only be sown and developed in the sublime company of awakened, illuminated, and blessed souls. Such souls can awaken, inspire, infect, and ignite our slumbering souls and usher them into divine consciousness.